let's transition. Speaking of Wembanyama,
Yeah.
and what he's been in the news for over the last week, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, he was in Las Vegas for the hoopla that's going on in Las Vegas with Summer League and everything like that.
He played, right? 2 games?
And he played 2 games,
Yeah.
and then they sat him out for the rest of the... The second game was solid, I think, like 27-12.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was walking through apparently a famous restaurant called Catch. And as he was him and security were moving through, a female had come from behind them and was approaching Wembanyama and trying to tap his shoulder to get his attention. And the security initially it was believed that the security had backhanded her in the face.
Yeah.
But video shows that he had smacked her hand away. He did backhand her hand, and her hand hit her in the face.
Yeah.
And then it came out that it was Britney Spears. Now there's a bunch of additional information there that some people saying she was speaking in a British accent. Other people were saying that she had said that she fallen to the ground. The video doesn't show her falling. The video doesn't catch audio of what she was saying.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think about that? About the situation that puts him in and that he was in?
I'm gonna go first. So, like, my thing is, I was raised to never put my hands on a woman.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, I want to start with that.
Can you say that again for people that missed it?
I was raised to never touch a woman, regardless of if she started it, regardless of what the situation is, regardless of who the aggressor is. Never touch a woman. First and foremost.
Well said.
That being said, do I think the security guard or bodyguard was in the right? I think his role is to take care of Wembanyama, first and foremost. And did he do the right thing in that situation? I don't think so. I don't think at no point he should have put his hand on a woman. However, did he do what he was paid to do? Yes. You know, taking care of your star is what you need to do. Could he have done it differently? 100%. Would I have told him to do it differently if I had the opportunity? Yeah, 100%. Like, she doesn't look like she was a threat in the first place, and you doing that was just icing on the cake. You didn't have to do that. You could have easily subdued the situation without hurting a woman, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
And yeah, if I was Wembanyama, bro, I would have told the security guard moving forward, don't ever put a hand.
You know what's crazy about
this? Is Spurs head of security as well.
Regardless, like I think he should have.
It's not just a random.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
But you should know, just as basic morals, to never put your hands on a woman, like regardless of, like, and I'm not even saying it because of Britney Spears, because she is a celebrity, right? But I just mean anyone in general who comes up to you. You need to at least put people in the best of light that she had best intention. Even if she was a fan, maybe she just wanted a picture, right?
Yeah.
Like, and your role is just to be there to secure the area, not to backhand a woman and give Wembanyama negative press. The guy just came to the U.S.
He's already doing apologies.
He's already on Shade Room.
He's already doing apology videos, right?
Yeah, he's doing like...
He's like, it's not like this in France.
100%. Like, I think it was in the wrong. It should have never happened. It could have been handled better. But could it have been justified as protecting your client? Yeah. Should it have been done like that? Hell no. You know?
Who do you think would win a lawsuit there?
I think the security guard was in the, like, in the law. I don't know what the law is, but I'm just telling you, the Jama law.
The Jama law.
I think the security guard could make a case that I was doing it to protect my client. But maybe what Britney Spears could have said is it was over, like,
it's excessive.
You didn't have to go that far. You could have just easily told me that he has an appointment, he's busy. I would have went my separate ways.
You went like, whoa, slow down, miss.
Yeah, but you know, at the same time, are we blowing up the situation because it was a woman? The same thing was to happen if it was a man. Would it have been covered to that extent?
We would have laughed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
double standard, right?
I agree, but to that point, never put your hands on a woman, fam.
You know what's ironic though about this whole situation is her biggest song of all time is "Hit Me, Baby, One More Time."
A lot of comments.
Crazy.
I didn't even put
crazy. Crazy.
Damn.
She has "Oops, I did it again." Oh, both of those lines are so fitting in this situation right now. Like, it's insane. But to be honest with you, like,
that's funny.
The point I was trying to make was that Britney Spears is not a normal person, you know? And I think most people don't realize that when they think about this situation, is that because Mukhtar brought it up a while ago before we were talking on camera, like who goes up and runs to somebody like that in that fashion, you know? I just don't think she's not 100% there,
Yeah.
right? So like the situation looks a little bit worse. And plus her, like, I'm not trying to shit on her in any way. She should never have been hit, right? And I like agree with what you're saying. The security guard could be justified when he's explaining what he did, but it was a little excessive in my opinion,
Facts.
right? But the way she kind of twisted the story, right? Because you were saying how she made like this whole video. She was talking like I was on the ground and I was crying, and my friend picked me up, and
apparently she was addressing some radio hosts.
Yeah.
Were making fun of the situation.
Yeah.
And she put out a video addressing it, drastically changing the story,
The narrative,
and how it happened. Yeah, and then the video came out.
Mm-hmm. So that to me shows that there's a level, or there's a little bit of Britney Spears that's not all the way there to me, you know. So like, I look at this story and I think it's being blown out of proportion way too much. It's not that big of a deal in my eyes, right? Because both parties apologized to each other and then went their separate ways. Now it's just kind of the media that's taking it and going into a frenzy with it. But I think both parties learned a valuable lesson in this situation. You know, the head of security, he knows what could go wrong in these instances. And Britney Spears and her staff know that they should know that she's a little too overboard when it comes to like fandom and meeting people and stuff like that.
Excitement.
Yeah, so like they need to kind of put her at bay, you know, when she's in those environments, and I think that's healthy, that's necessary.
No, I agree, man. But honestly, thinking, bro, I just feel bad for both parties. When Biyama just came here, already negative press. Britney Spears, people are making memes of her online, you know, just making fun of her and like
leave Britney alone.
Yeah, like I just think that, like there's no win. There's nobody winning in this case.
Yeah.
You know,
just the LL, yeah.
Free Britney. Even the bodyguard, he might get fired for this. You know, I don't know if he will, but there's no winning in this. You know,
it's a sad situation because there's really nothing for people to talk about now. So they're making these stories bigger than they actually are, right? So it's just a shitty time to be in for celebrities, especially NBA players, and there's nothing going on in the NBA world.
Yeah.
So I think that if this would have happened in December, it wouldn't have been the biggest of a story, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion.
It would have just been like a 24-hour situation.
Yeah, it would have been like a on the timeline type of shit, you know? Oh, did you guys see this? That type of shit. But yeah, you know, can't complain. It's just the media. It's how it goes.
Apparently I don't know, they didn't realize who it was, but he did apologize to security afterwards. They both, like, she said it, and apparently Wembanyama said it as well. And afterwards, she accepted the apology, but they still reported it to the police, and the police later on dropped the charges against him.
Yeah.
But it's just an embarrassing situation all around for Wembanyama, for the Spurs, for Britney Spears and her people.
Yeah. Such weird names though.
Yeah.
Wembanyama and Britney Spears.
What
are the odds?
You never put these two.
That's
together,
what I'm saying.
Right?
They could never have come together in my mind. Those two names, you know.
Las Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas brings the weirdos together, right? Yeah.
She has a residency, I think, in Las Vegas. And
she does?
Yeah, I don't know if it's still anymore, but I heard about it like 2 years ago that she had a residency there.
Okay.
A lot of people. Usher has a residency.
That I know of.
Yo. First off, quickly. Can we go through with this nigga Usher is on right now?
Yo.
You heard about that?
No. Let me ask you a question.
First, break it down for him. He didn't know.
Okay, fair. The whole purpose of this is he's going viral for taking women in the audience. Usually it's people in either as a celebrity, you know, to make names or to make like stuff, or it's like girlfriends, right?
He did Joe Budden Shorty too.
Yeah, so he brings them on stage and he dances on them, right?
He serenades the
So he serenades them, he dances on them. It's a whole experience, right? Yeah. So a lot of people are talking about this. And what happened and kind of went viral last week is Kyle Kuzma's girlfriend, right?
Oh, Winnie Harlow.
Yeah, so
Wait, you're talking about that? I was talking about the other thing.
Which one?
Kiki Palmer.
Yeah.
That was the original.
Oh, yeah. But to that point, like, she was in a relationship. She went up there, you know. A lot of people were saying, "Yo, why are you wearing that? You're a mom now," and kind of shitting on her.
Winnie Harlow,
right? No,
Kiki Palmer.
Okay.
Kiki Palmer.
Switched too quickly.
But the story I'm talking about, Kyle Kuzma and his girlfriend were in the audience, right?
Yeah.
So clearly they're a couple.
Yeah.
They're together. They're doing everything, right? So Usher goes up to Winnie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Yo, come let me dance on you." And what she does is she jumps on Kyle Kuzma's lap, like, "No, I have somebody here with me." you know, and it made Usher look like, damn, okay, it is what it is. And the whole thing is, a lot of people on social media were saying that, oh, that's such an insecure couple. Like you being there
Wow.
with Usher is part of an experience.
Well,
had-
let's rewind first, because I feel like the whole Usher drama started first with Keke Palmer and
Yeah.
that reaction, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that led to the Winnie Harlow reaction, right?
Mhm.
Because first, originally, Keke Palmer was in like a see-through dress or something like
Yeah,
that, and
yeah.
she was with her man
She
at
looked
the
great,
event,
yeah. She looked
right?
great.
She was with her man at the event. Well, I don't even know if she was with her man, but
I
her man
didn't hear the.
essentially what happened was she got serenaded, and it was very intimate, very close on camera, and
Yeah.
that started circulating on social media. Her man said, that's disrespectful to me, this is not right, publicly on social media.
He's
And
talking
then
about what she
people
was wearing, too.
people were shitting on him, saying, yo, you're insecure,
Mhm.
let your girlfriend have fun, blah blah blah, this and that. And then on the flip side, next week, literally the following week, right, he does the same residency show, and Winnie Harlow, that whole thing with Winnie Harlow happens, and then the media is going off on them, saying that they're insecure.
Yeah.
Like, what?
It's funny. This is the whole salt bait thing all over.
Like, that makes no sense to me.
Well,
Like, there's
let
no
me-
winning
To
here.
ask you that question, what
Mhm.
would you do, or how would you react if the person who you're with,
Mhm.
Usher picked them, and how would you want your girl to react?
First off, we're going to the Usher show.
Let's
First
say-
things
let's
first.
say-
First things first. If we're going to the Usher show, right off bat, you're not going up there.
Okay.
I don't care. If I'm going to the Sierra concert, I ain't going up there. Like, I ain't
Fair,
going. Like,
okay.
that's just a simple rule, my nigga.
Yeah.
Like, we're in a relationship.
Okay.
That has to be confirmed right off bat.
Yeah.
And if that's not discussed,
Mhm.
and we're sharing your girlfriend tonight, my nigga. Like, you know.
I just like, to the point. I totally agree with that. Like,
Mhm.
I was seeing a lot of people's perspective online,
Mhm.
where it was like, if you don't allow your girlfriend to be a part of this experience because she paid good money to be in these seats,
Mhm.
you're taking away from the entire event, right?
No, disrespectful to your.
But,
That's
yeah.
disrespectful to your
Exa-
relationship.
I think honestly, because for me, this is personally me, and I'm pretty sure you agree, and I'm pretty sure you agree.
Mhm.
When I'm with somebody, we're to each other. You know, like, it's not about an insecurity thing, but it's about understanding that
It's a
there's
respect
boundaries.
thing.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
a respect
respect thing.
aspect of it too.
Yeah.
But there's boundaries that I would have with people
Mhm.
that I wish that you would have for people too. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do the if, for example, if I was on stage and Rihanna or Cardi B was like, yo, you come on the stage, I'm gonna dance on you.
Let me give you a more realistic example. If you're in a relationship, you ain't going to Caravana. You ain't.
Yeah, I'm not.
Your girl's probably gonna be like,
that's not me.
your
That's
girl's
not
probably
me.
gonna. I'm just saying, just generally
But in
speaking.
general, like,
Just generally
yeah.
speaking, your girl's probably gonna look at you like, so you want other girls to be bubbling you and grinding you while you're in a relationship
Fair,
with me?
yeah, it's like the club situation.
Yeah, it's exactly the
I
same thing
like-
to me.
Like, I'm not even a club person in the first place, but I would have more of a reason not to go to a club if I was with a significant other.
In a committed relationship. yeah.
Because you go to let's keep it a buck. You go to a club to have fun because you either dance with people or you're trying to
Trying to get lucky,
some-
yeah. Everybody trying to get lucky there.
But if I'm going there, that's, and not that I would, but that would be my purpose, you know. But I have something at home if we live together, and why would I kind of disrespect her by going out and finding somebody else?
Mhm.
You know, I don't think it's an insecurity thing. I just think it's having respect for your significant other, having boundaries that you're not willing to go over,
Mhm.
and just flat out being a part of a relationship. These are the rules that you must abide by. You
Yeah,
know,
do you
I
know-
could be crazy. Am I crazy?
No.
Nah, it's 100% justified.
God damn.
Justified.
Do you know what the additional thing is though?
What?
It's Usher, and whenever those situations happen when the artist dance on a person,
Mhm.
even if the person's not famous, those videos, that part of the show always circulates.
Yeah.
So imagine you're a famous Cal Kuzma or whoever,
Yo, he
Keke
would've been-
Palmer's
yeah.
man. Those videos are always going to be circulating. People are going to be getting at you saying, "Yo, you're not. That's what you're doing."
Yeah, like the
That's what you guys are doing?
Adam 22 situation right now.
Mhm.
What Adam told
Like,
you to.
he is a no jumper. you
Yeah,
know,
I know who he
So
is. Yeah.
the thing, short. Let me just quickly go by this. The whole thing that's going on is, so him and his wife, they do explicit content online, right? They've
Okay.
only ever done it with each other and with other women, right?
Mhm.
But he never allowed her to do it with other men,
Why not?
right? Just because that's their rule in their relationship. I don't understand it.
That's weird.
But now that
They've been
now he allowed her to have another partner,
Okay.
and it was filmed and everything, and now the only thing people are talking about is the fact that you let your girlfriend or wife, whatever she is, be kind of dealt with by another person.
Wasn't he dealing with other women with her?
Yeah, but I don't.
they were. She is. I think she's bi. So
Okay.
they were dealing with the girl together.
Mhm. But he's
And-
not. He's not bi.
He's not bi. He did.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he plays that. But they have this whole interview show.
Interesting relationship.
But they have this whole
fuck?
OnlyFans show where they interview a porn star
Mhm.
and then they have a threesome with them.
Mhm.
This, I think, is just whole. He
It's
wasn't
like
there.
no jumper XXX alike.
Yeah.
The fuck?
It's her show.
It's
Like,
her
the
Damn.
girl's show. This is a whole separate thing where
Mhm.
she's been doing this whole OnlyFans and porn for a while. I don't know if it's porn or OnlyFans only,
Yeah.
but she's been doing this thing for a while by her. And now this is the first time where she alone, and apparently it's his production too. It's Adam 22's production.
Yeah.
And this is the first time she's doing it with another man.
Okay.
Now people are getting at her, and apparently he bought her
People,
a
no,
Lambo.
people
right
are not getting
after.
at her. People are getting at him.
That's what I'm saying.
People are
yeah.
saying because apparently, like, he was there watching it happen.
Oh, I didn't hear that part.
So it's like it was just weird. It was bizarre. And now
Damn.
going back to the point about Usher and them, it would have been the same type of situation with if his girl went with him on stage and he's just watching, and then he sees his girl get serenaded by another man, and then watch her. Come
Well,
back.
that's a completely different. One is a completely
No, I mean
extreme
like
scenario.
one is extreme.
Yeah.
But I mean like the video, the same way that people are getting at Adam 22
It's gonna be
online
talked
right now.
about. Yeah.
It's gonna be like he would have no claim. Like if he was to ever do something online, people would send that video of his girl going on the stage with Usher. You know,
Adam 22 is just having a bad year. Like all his team members leaving him, and all this other claims against him, and racism, and
he's using it though. I'm like he's jumping on the press, going.
I
beyond.
haven't seen him since his whole team left him. People just don't want to be embarrassed, and that's what pretty much anybody that Usher brings onto the stage. If you're a famous person, that's what's gonna come back to you. It all reflects back to hurt feelings and heartbreak. If people put themselves in a certain situation and
Mhm.
imagine themselves, oh, what if I lose my girl to Usher?
Mhm.
But
Yikes.
but that is a real
Yeah, I
thing.
know, I know.
People, there's a bunch of videos out there. People getting insecure about, yo, my girl did this and my girl did that, and to the public, it doesn't sound that drastic. But what do you guys think heartbreak does to a person?
Damn.
What like
That's
It's a
tough.
fully loaded question, brother.
That's tough. So what do you mean, like the after effects of heartbreak?
the after effects of something happening of somebody you're in love with,
Mhm.
and may not be Usher bringing her onto the
Yeah.
stage,
Yeah.
but it may be you and your feelings after a certain situation had occurred. What have you been through? If you guys want to talk about yourselves,
Yeah.
or what do you think, just in general, it does to a person? And
Gotcha. No, I'll go 1st.
Mhm.
I feel like heartbreak, especially your first heartbreak, it is an experience that you will never forget. And the reason for that is typically when you're in your first relationship and everything's going well, you automatically start thinking about the future. You start thinking about kids, family, future, like going on vacation with this person, creating a whole household, right? And then when you find out that it doesn't actually work out, and everything that you thought of for X amount of years is not it's not coming to fruition, you heartbreak I think hits harder, you know, and it's like you start to believe that the past X amount of time is was wasted, and all the effort and time that you spent with this person there was nothing that came out of it, right?
Mhm.
So when you're sitting with all of this right off the time, and considering if you're with somebody, you're very close to them, right? So you
Mhm.
just lost not only your significant other, but you also lost a close friend,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So you're kind of losing two spots in one. So like heartbreak hits different when you put 100% into that person, you know?
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of time from personal experience. It takes a lot of time to get over that because you're trying to fill a void that you don't know will ever be filled,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
So to go back to your immediate question, what does heartbreak feel like? It feels like you're being split in two. It's because there's not a lot of people you can talk about this with, first and foremost, and two, it's a situation that you gotta resolve within yourself. Personally, for me, I know there are other methods to go about it, like talk to people, go to therapy, but for me, I took it like the solo route where I'm gonna figure out the situation on my own. And truth be told, like my very first heartbreak took me a long time to get over.
Reasonable.
Like
Reasonable. Reasonable.
it took me like either a year and a half or even 2 years to completely get this person out of my mind, you know?
Let me ask you this though, like, and sorry to cut you off, fam, but like, you bring up a very interesting point about the first heartbreak, and I want to dive more into the
First heartbreak, yeah.
psychology. You know, I want to dive in more to the psychology of heartbreak, what it does to the effect, the pre, the post. But the first heartbreak, for example, right? Do you think that that weighs more on you because, like you said, you've already developed this
Hmm.
mindset of a future? And my follow-up question to that is, do you ever get over that?
Good question. So, to your immediate question, do you ever get over it?
Hmm.
I don't think. I feel like it never gets easier, but it gets more manageable. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
so to like, I honestly feel like after you get your first heartbreak, the first for everything is always the worst. Like the first time you're trying to understand what these emotions evoke, and you're trying to get a hold over your entire being, right?
Hmm.
And once you kind of get the framework and like the blueprint of how to deal with it,
Hmm.
I think moving forward relationships are much more easier when they don't end up working, because
Hmm.
now, like, you go from like this innocent being where you thought your first person was going to work out,
Hmm.
and like, you always kind of put it in your head like, I'm not going to be like those, my first chance, good to go, I'm going to get married, everything.
So that there's some level of delusion
Yeah,
involved.
I feel like you're
Yeah.
kind of very delusional in your first relationship because you think everything's going to work out, but then
Hmm.
after the first one doesn't work out and you go to your second, third, fourth, whatever,
Hmm.
you start to understand that this may not work out, and if it doesn't work out, I'll be okay. Like, I'm and to be honest, subconsciously, I think I also developed this thing where I'm super guarded now.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm. Hmm.
it takes a lot for me to kind of get open and attached to people, and this may be because of the very first heartbreak that I ever had.
Hmm.
And I don't think, maybe it's because I never want to be put in that situation again where I have to figure things out from scratch,
Yeah.
or maybe it's because now I just don't have much. Um, I wouldn't say hope, but I just don't want to put myself in that situation again,
You
right?
kind of know the reality of it
Yeah,
now,
like I kind of
The
understand that.
delusion is gone.
Even like, I through my first relationship
Hmm.
and through after the second heartbreak, third heartbreak, I understood that love is not always enough to get stuff done.
Of
You
course.
need more than love. Love is not always the winning recipe.
Hmm.
Everything needs to work out. Either it be the circumstances, either it be like
Environment, finances. Yeah.
politics. A lot of things need to work out for you to get with somebody. And
Hmm.
love, me being like this person that I was growing up, I always assumed if there's love, we can figure it
Love will
out.
find a
We can,
way.
like,
We'll find a
if two
way.
people are committed, we're gonna figure. But there's more than that. There's other things that go involved, and love is a very strong component. But to sometimes, I hate to say this, it's not the most important component. Things need to work out beyond love.
I think that's a little bit too strong because if
Hmm.
there's no love in a relationship,
No,
there's
no,
no
no. I
relationship, right?
understand, but
But it's one of it. The thing is, like, what you're basically trying to say is that you have to be realistic with your
facts, yeah.
relationship. It's not just based off of I really 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 like this person a lot. I really care about this person a lot. There's a lot of factors that have to go into it, right? But I want to stress on the first heartbreak first, right? And the reason I want to stress on it is because I want to find out, is there a way people can avoid going through that level of delusion and that level of severity in their heartbreak, or is that has to
It
happen for
has to happen.
everybody?
I think everybody has to, because you can get secondhand information,
Hmm.
like, oh, yo, heartbreak sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I know, but there's a difference between it be hearing it and
Mhm.
actually experiencing it.
That is true.
Like,
That is true.
being in love, fam,
Hmm.
is a type of feeling where it's like, I would compare it to like an addiction. Like, knowing somebody loves you and knowing you love them, and like everything's going right in your relationship,
Hmm.
it's a type of emotion that is unmatched at times. Like, I would compare it to like that time where the Raptors won their 2019 championship, Like, knowing like the greatest of things is happening and there's nothing wrong,
Hmm.
it's unparalleled. But
But does
then,
that, like, 'cause my real question is, because we both understood that there's a level of delusion
yeah,
involved with this first relationship
correct.
that people get in, right? Is there a way to kind of get back to earth while you're experiencing that?
I
Do
don't think so.
people know how to do that, or is that just not a human emotion until we go through heartbreak?
Because for me personally, like, for my first relationship at least, I
Mhm.
had like a great honeymoon phase where
Mhm.
it went on for like a year and a half, where everything was just perfect. But even after the honeymoon phase ended, everything was still going great.
But did you ever see writing on the wall at any point that this could not last forever?
Yeah, I think everybody knows, like, but then and something that you do is you start to realize that you start to think at that time where we'll figure it out. When shit comes up, we'll figure it out. We are we're a match made in heaven where nothing will ever get in between us, right?
But you're still thinking, because I'm just trying to base it off of my
Yeah.
experiences in this, right? And I looking back on my life, I'm like, knew that there was a good chance that my first relationship wouldn't last forever,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
I knew that, but the heartbreak still felt the same. The level of delusion we're talking about still was the same.
Mm.
Even though I knew right off the top of my head while I was going through it, like, yo, this might not last forever. I might not marry this person, right?
Yeah, no.
But like, is that something we have? Because and the only reason why I'm saying this is because after that, I've had, unfortunately, I've had heartbreak more than once, right?
Yeah.
After that, like you said, I'm more guarded. I'm more, I'm more reasonable. I can understand the realistic side of it, But back then, even though I was still thinking it, I couldn't internalize it
Mhm.
until I went through a heartbreak, until I saw the level of delusion I'm actually at.
Mhm.
So my question is, can people avoid that, or does that have to happen?
That's a tough question.
Is that possible?
I feel like we talk about this all the time. I don't think there's anything that you can do that can prepare you for heartbreak, first and foremost. I honestly think this is something that everybody has to go through. Everybody needs to experience a loss to understand why it's so important to keep what you have. Or like to not keep what you have, but to maintain the type of relationship that you want to have. You need to understand what the lowest feels in order to understand what the highest feels, So you have a comparable, in my opinion. So I think everybody should experience heartbreak, even though it's one of the worst things to ever go through, because it gives you a good grasp on the situation. It gives you a good grasp on how you would deal with certain aspects of your inner being,
Mhm.
and it also gives you a good idea as to like what's coming up for, because it's also you can compare it to different emotions as well, and you can develop a thought process on how to deal with strong, because for me that was, I think, one of the strongest things I had to deal with, and now I have a blueprint and I kind of apply it to different things in my life.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Now I have me days.
Yeah, the
me
me
days. Me days
days.
came from that.
Mhm,
Now I have I delved into more different things because I figured out ways to keep my mind busy, right?
mhm,
Like cooking,
mhm,
baking.
mhm.
It all kind of dwell from this stuff, because you kind of forget through heartbreak, you kind of become an item, right? And then when you guys go your own separate ways, you're trying to figure out who you are because you only identified with that person, right?
Mhm.
So it's a hard time to kind of figure out who you are at a time where you kind of invested who you are with who they are to become a new identity, right?
Mhm.
So now you're trying to find yourself. You're trying to figure out who you are. You're trying to figure out what you actually love because at a certain point, everything kind of gets blurred in the middle, right? So these are the type of things that I learned that I loved because, and now they've become my identity, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I think it needs to be an emotion that you go through.
That was very well said.
Kind
I'm
of
not gonna lie.
about that. Yeah, he barred that up.
Very well said.
Yeah.
I also want to ask you this,
Oh.
and I don't want to get too personal, fam, of course, but I want to ask you this question, and I just thought of this right now. What do you think impacts you more as a person? The height of the love or the low of the heartbreak?
The low, man, the low
question.
impacts you. That's a great question. The low impacts you way more
You think so?
because
Mhm.
the high you feel is a joint effort between two people, and you guys can talk about it. You guys can feel amazing together. It's a collab.
Mhm.
But when you're at your low,
Mhm.
you're by yourself, and sometimes the scariest place to be is within your own mind.
Yeah, your own
You know,
thoughts are the scariest
so
place. Yeah.
figuring out how to deal with that low
Mhm.
made me, I feel like, a different person.
But don't you think that your relationship also, or the relationships you've been in, have also influenced who you are today?
Yeah, definitely,
Like
definitely.
those people can help shape you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, 100%. No, but to be frank, the first low will always be the worst low for me.
Mhm.
But
But
I
did it outweigh the high of the love in the relationship?
that's a
That's the question.
great question. Great, great question.
Because that's what I'm thinking about now.
I think they're comparable.
They are
They're,
comparable.
I think they're like same level, 10 out of 10.
I don't know. I think I disagree.
What you think
I
the low
think
is lower?
no. I think the high is higher.
Oh,
Than like it impacts you more. I feel like than the low, because like there are things that you can do during your heartbreak
yeah,
to get yourself kind of feeling better.
yeah.
You could talk to somebody. You did so much. Like you got into hobbies. You did so much for yourself, and now look, you're like a completer version of yourself than
Yeah.
you once were, you know? But at the same time, I feel like before you were in a relationship, and I'm not trying to specifically talk about you, I'm just talking about just generally speaking, before you're in a relationship, you're at a much, much less version of yourself, if that makes sense, you know? Before you meet somebody who can change your life, impact you in a certain way. And then you go through the heartbreak aspect of it as well, then you kind of find yourself. So I feel like the two kind of work together, but initially to get you out of your shell, to get you to become like that person that's like collabing with somebody else, that takes a lot of work and effort and a lot of commitment. So I think that that impacts you a lot more.
You know why I disagree with you there? It's because I do agree with you when the high is high,
Mhm.
and it's absolutely incredible, right?
Yeah.
But the reason why the low hits so hard is because the high was that high.
That's a great point.
Because when you're feeling 10 out of 10,
Mhm.
you know, when you're feeling 10 out of 10,
Mhm.
and then that person doesn't work out, and then you know, and you're invested in them,
Yeah.
you're gonna feel 0 out of 10.
Yeah, that's true.
So I that's why I think they're equal. Because if your high was only a 5,
Mhm.
your low is not gonna be that bad because you weren't that invested. You didn't put that much effort into it.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That is true. That is
That's
true.
why I think they're comparable, because it really matters about how great was the relationship and how invested you were in it.
Mhm.
And depending on that situation,
Mhm.
you fall lower into the pits of your mind.
Yeah, but I feel like as well, when you're at that point, especially during the heartbreak, you kind of have a self-realization of the delusion you went through. You know, like we were saying, we always thought in our first relationship, this is the person I'm going to end up with. I'm going to have kids with. That's delusion, right? It's not reality based, right? And you can only see that after the fact. So does that mean that your high was higher than than it actually was because you were delusional? Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
Yeah, I get your point, but yeah, I do think there's an element of delusion when it comes to high.
Mhm.
But another element as to why the low is so terrible is
Mhm.
because you're the same way that you're facing delusion when you're high, you're
Mhm.
facing reality when you're in the lows. You
Mhm.
figure out that all these thought processes and these dreams that you had with this person and the reality that it's never going to happen.
Mhm.
I think the reality hits way harder than the delusions, because delusions is something that you think is going to happen.
Mhm.
The reality is what is actually going to happen. Like, you're not gonna get these stuff. And imagine telling yourself this all this time, and that you're in your own thoughts that the reality is me and this person are not going to do what we thought we were going to do, and you're sitting on that. It's marinating in your mind, you
Mhm.
know.
Mhm.
And sometimes, depending on who you are as a person, it can eat at you. It can really eat at you, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And to be frank, moving forward for my next relationships, right,
Mhm.
I don't think I've experienced that type of high before, because I'm scared of getting down there to the bottom, you know?
Okay.
Like, I've never given that 10 out of 10 effort again.
So heartbreak kind of ruined relationships for you.
It kind of did, I'm not gonna
I
lie.
agree with that statement. I'm not
Because
gonna lie.
this may be my own thing, but I never want to be at that low point again, you know?
You know what it
The
is,
way
fam?
that I combat that is,
Mhm.
for now at least,
Mhm.
I make sure that all the bucket points are right before I get 100% invested in it, you
But
know?
we just agreed that we can't avoid heartbreak.
Yeah, but I think first heartbreak, not second heartbreak.
Yeah,
You can avoid the second
You
heartbreak.
can't avoid it,
You
bro.
can't avoid the second heartbreak.
You can't avoid it. You're gonna get. You just said once you get to that high,
Yeah.
it's gonna feel way like like you're gonna be crushed but that's reality. It can happen. You know what I mean?
It can totally.
So this whole conversation is basically just coming. It's making me realize that heartbreak is a natural human emotion that most people don't really experience until certain parts of life. But there's no going around it. You know, you have to go through it to learn from it and to build from it. Right? Interesting. I kind of want to segue towards like different types of heartbreaks though, because not just your girl broke up with you or I broke up with my girl. Like
Mhm.
you can go through heartbreak with different types of relationships,
Facts.
right?
Yeah.
Like for example, like family members. You know,
Mhm.
if a family member, like if a close family member of yours does something to you, or you find out something that completely ruins your relationship, that's a form of heartbreak, right?
Totally, yeah.
It'll be dwelling on your mind in a certain way. You'll be thinking to yourself, why did this love have to fade away? And it's not like a romantic type of love, right? So like those types of things, they eat at you. And I feel like when it comes to like more so like non boyfriend girlfriend relationships, people like to hold back on divulging into those scenarios and stuff, especially family and stuff, like it's harder. It's not necessarily taboo, but it's tougher to talk about. Yo, my brother broke my heart, or my sister did something to me that I'll never forgive her for, because it's like kind of in a sense embarrassing,
Yeah.
you know. So like there's that layer of, you know, gravity on you too when you're going through heartbreak with different types of relationships. But it's real. It's
It
real.
is. It is. Personally, for me, I've never experienced family heartbreak before,
Mhm.
but I was through like a secondhand type of. I've seen it through somebody.
And
Where,
that's another thing, secondhand
yeah,
heartbreak, right?
totally.
You want to go deeper into that?
Yeah, it's basically being around somebody who's in their lows, right?
Mhm.
Depending on if you're comfortable on sharing it. Seeing another person go through heartbreak
Mhm.
also invokes some type of emotion in you where you kind of get that type of emotion through them, right?
Mhm.
Where it's obviously it may not be as strong, but you're feeling for this person because you see them going through something, and to be honest, you can't really do anything about it
Yeah.
because heartbreak is something you have to go through alone.
It's inevitable, pretty much.
Facts. But going back to the point you made, I've seen somebody go through secondhand heartbreak because they had a terrible relationship with their mother, and their
Mhm.
mother basically left them out to dry,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
And I that hit them harder than when their significant other broke up with them, right? It's
Yeah.
because when it comes to the investment that I told you about earlier,
Mhm.
there's a couple of people in your life where you're 100% invested in because
Mhm.
you know that they would never do you no wrong. Your
Mhm.
family is one of them.
Mhm.
You would never, ever, ever think that your mom, your dad, your siblings will ever do anything wrong by you.
Mhm.
It's because you know that that relationship is rock solid because
Solidified.
it's in blood.
Solidified.
You're my DNA.
Mhm. Mhm.
But to that point, when these people break your heart the most,
Mhm.
it's going to impact you the greatest
Mhm.
because you would never have thought that it would ever have gone this path. Because
Mhm.
I'll keep it a book, if I love my parents, if they ever broke my heart, it would hit me 10 times harder than anything I could ever imagine.
Yeah.
It's because I always thought that they would be in my corner.
Mhm.
I never thought that they would be playing with the away team,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
So that in itself, and I've saw that person go through the worst of the worst,
Mhm.
but they're able to get out of it after because they're able to understand their emotions, understand that all relationships are not meant to last, even blood relationships like
Mhm.
DNA is not meant to last,
Mhm.
and now they're in a better place. But going back to that point, I think those type of heartbreaks hit harder because you always thought that they would be on your side,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I agree. And that's the challenging part about life, is you don't know how long people are going to be in your life.
Hmm.
You know, you have an you have a invisible timer on every relationship you have. And I don't want to get too like dark and severe, but even death,
Yeah,
that's heartbreak, you
facts.
know, like especially unexpected death, you know, like instant heartbreak shatters a human being, you know. And we have to go through these emotions, these negative aspects of life, to build ourselves up and to build our characters to be more strong when we're faced with these challenges, right?
Hmm.
Because heartbreak is a challenge, you know.
100%.
This is all just personal challenges we go through internally that we have to learn how to overcome,
Hmm.
because these are aspects of life that we're all going to go through at some point. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting topic, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Heartbreak, man.
Mhm.
It's regardless of what type of relationship, family, friendship, whatever.
Mhm.
It's what heartbreak does to you is it creates a hole inside of you,
Yeah.
and that hole, the whole plan is to figure out what to fill with that hole,
Mhm.
because that's what the heartbreak is.
Yeah. It's a void, right? It's like a
It's a
void.
void.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know how to fill that void.
Mhm.
You know
That's how rebounds happen.
exactly.
Mhm.
Filling the void is the problem.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't go through life not being able to fill that void.
That's a very good point, man. The fact that people try to fill that hole that they left, or that someone left for them, because it even happens in friendships too. Like,
Mhm.
let's say somebody gets excommunicated from their friend group for some reason. They're gonna probably find another friend group, like,
Mhm.
and that might not be the greatest choice immediately based off of being that down bad and heartbroken. You know what I mean? So people can make negative decisions. You know, I've seen people get into toxic relationships based off of a rebound. You know, because they were with their significant other for so long, and shit went hit the fan. You know, like there's so many. I feel like when you're in that heartbreak phase or that part of your life, it can become so hard for you to get out of that you kind of lose yourself in a sense. You know, not a lot of people are as strong as me and you know, that can get a sense of who they are from heartbreak.
Mhm.
Some people completely lose themselves entirely, and it takes them a long time to understand the damage that they've done.
Yeah.
You know, so it's one thing we said before we got on camera is like guys don't talk about this shit.
Yeah.
When guys get their heart broken, especially from a female, they don't talk about this
I
shit.
think you were like, to be personal. I remember you were
Mhm.
the first person I talked about, like years ago.
Yeah.
I remember you picked me up randomly. I said, "Yo."
And you know, you were that for me too in high school. I don't know
Really?
if you remember
I
that.
don't remember.
You were that for me in
I
high
actually
school.
don't remember, but
That's
I
crazy.
remember. And then something really cool about you. I don't even know if you remember. You followed up on me.
Oh wow.
Not a lot of people follow up
Wow.
when I like not in general. I mean, like when you tell somebody something,
Mhm.
you assume it's like, you know, when you tell somebody, how are you doing?
Mhm.
From my honest opinion, I always assume people want you to answer, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
People don't actually want you to say, how are you actually doing, right?
Mhm.
But that day I actually told you how I was doing, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And then fast forward, I think like a couple days later, you reached out to me like, yo, you all right? You know?
Mhm. Mhm.
I think that shows a lot about your character, because
You know-
a lot of people would have been like, all right, I'm not trying to talk to this. It's awkward.
You know, when you told me about that, and I definitely don't want to get too personal. We can cut this out if you want to. But when you told me about that situation, bro, like I instantly thought about myself because you were describing it to me in a way that I understood your emotion behind it, not what you were going through physically or in reality, but your emotion behind it. I kind of resonated with, you know.
Mhm.
So when I asked you about that, I was more so thinking about your mental health, you know, because
Yeah.
I know the gravity and the pressure that you could put on yourself, especially as a guy. You know what I mean? Like it's
You
a
have to
lot.
look normal. Like my thing
Mhm.
was, I could be wrong, and
Mhm.
I don't want to be controversial, but I feel like when men go through heartbreak, it's very like, it doesn't look good on you to keep it on
Mhm.
your face.
Mhm.
You know, like I see it as, I feel like I used this analogy in another podcast where we were talking about um if you know different faces that you have to put on.
Yeah.
You always have to have on your happy face as a man,
Mhm.
because if you show any crack or any creak,
Mhm.
like at all,
Mhm.
it just looks like you're not all there together, right?
Yeah.
I don't think men are allowed to mourn in public.
Mhm.
It's something to do in the private within yourself, or just in the like not in any capacity of other people, right?
Mhm.
So going back to that point, I had to figure this whole thing out alone,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And I did that through different methods of trying to understand how to fill the void,
Mhm.
you know. And
Mhm.
alhamdulillah, I like to believe that the void is filled, and I'm good to go, you know. But I understand what the feeling of a void is,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know. And to be honest, it's one of the greatest pains I've ever been through.
You know, one point I want to make about being in that, like being that down bad and heartbroken, is for me, for example, like I don't think I've ever felt that alone
Hmm.
or lonely in my life, even though I had so much people, good people around me.
Yeah.
You know, internally, I was just so beyond alone
Hmm.
mentally, right? And only after going through that, I realized what I was doing wrong and why I was feeling that way for so long is because I wasn't willing and strong enough to open up and release that side of me and let people in yet, you know?
Yeah.
And I had to go through heartbreaks and tough times and bad experiences for me to understand that. I want to, okay, before we kind of wrap up, right? I want to leave off on one thing that I thought about, right? And the way guys and girls deal with heartbreak is very different.
Yeah.
Very different, right? I feel like the guys, they want to show like I'm free, you know, like this is me. I can be a man again. I can party. I can
Yeah.
chill, you know. And then on the girl side, it's more like they very much, and this is just a speculation. I'm not like not everybody's not the same, right? But like on the female side, it's more like they're crying, they're heartbroken, they're sad, and then they get over it,
Yeah.
find someone else, and then fill that void.
Uh-huh.
But I feel like as guys, we come back to it later on. Like it's more like I ripped the band-aid off and now it hurts later.
Yeah.
You know what I
No,
mean?
I totally agree.
Is that a fair judgment?
For me, I felt like I didn't take the typical route.
Mhm.
I was, first of all, I'm never somebody who does what those things anyway, right?
Mhm.
So I took more of a I took like a pause of like life for a moment, you know. Like I was trying to, like, personally, I just feel like time stopped moving,
Mhm.
and I was
I
just
know exactly what you're saying, bro.
like, time stopped moving,
Mhm.
because something about it is, if you create a habit for X amount of years,
Mhm.
it's hard to break out of that habit, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So I was trying to figure out how my days were supposed to be structured, you know, and time stopped moving because I didn't figured things out yet, right?
Did you feel like you had too much time?
Like, what do you mean?
Like when you were as you were describing right now, you had a routine, you knew you were doing things a certain way, and then now this routine drastically changes.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
oh, what do I do now?
I felt like I had all the time in the world, fam.
Mhm,
There was a time where my whole life was dedicated to us,
mhm, mhm.
and when I found out that it's just me, I'm like,
I have all this time.
what do I do? I started taking naps and stuff, fam.
That's
That's when naps
crazy.
became a permanent thing because I was
Mhm.
like, oh, maybe I could take a 2-3 hour
Did
nap.
you do any binging?
Of shows? I
Yeah.
was always a show watcher. And
But specifically around that
for
time.
me, it was more like I was trying to go on more walks. I was trying to
Wow, I had a completely opposite experience than you.
really,
You know,
like how?
I was very much a hermit. I stayed in home a lot.
Yeah.
Didn't really want to
No,
socialize.
so was I, but then I was to the point like I understood that staying in these four walls
Mhm.
is not good.
I didn't know that.
Like I need light.
I had no idea that was a thing. You know, I was just
Yeah.
thinking to myself, I don't want to be outside. Fuck
Uh-huh.
this sucks. And then as time, I think it was because it was winter too. You know, as time went on, I started to get out of my shell. Then finally realized, yo, why the fuck was I stuck at home all this time? That's a shitty thing to do.
If you need, in my opinion at least, even if it's not true,
Mhm.
you need to tell yourself that you think it's going to get better. Like I think self healing starts with the ideologies that you have in your mind. Like if you tell yourself, "Yo, I'm gonna be. It's okay to feel like crap right now, but I'm gonna be okay later." You know,
Mhm.
that gives your mind enough stability to understand that okay, it's okay to feel the way I'm feeling now, as long as I know there's a light at the end of this tunnel, right?
Mhm.
But in those four walls, to your case, I think you kind of trapped yourself thinking that
I
this is
did.
the emotion that I'm feeling,
I did.
and it's gonna be permanent until I prove otherwise, right?
Till proven otherwise. Yeah.
So my point was I liked going out of the house because I started to walk, and then I was starting to like take myself out of the mind frame of let's just keep moving. It was kind of like me walking was my way of trying to understand what's going
It's a
on.
coping
Like,
mechanism.
yeah, like I was trying to, it was kind of, it spoke to what's going on in my mind. Like if I'm walking, I'm also thinking. If I'm thinking, I'm doing well. If I'm doing well, I'm going to be okay.
Wow, you were that conscious of it.
Yeah. Because
Wow,
I was kind of thinking about it, and like while it was happening, I knew it was happening, you know?
interesting.
But by
It's
no
like
means did I
finding
make it
Dory,
easier.
Keep swimming.
Yeah, like keep swimming. Keep swimming. What is it, Dora? No, not Dora.
Finding
Yeah,
Dory.
finding, yeah. Like just
Nemo.
keep swimming, bro.
No, it's finding the second one.
Oh,
But yeah, that hits. That actually hits. Like, just
Mhm.
keep swimming. Just keep moving.
Mhm.
Keep like even if you don't know the destination,
Mhm.
you will get to somewhere that you'll understand eventually. You
Mhm.
know. And I just think that's what heartbreak is. Understand that it's a problem while it's happening, but
There's coping mechanisms that you can use, you know, but you kind of have to be strong enough to be able to get yourself to use a coping mechanism. You know, it's not just. I'll take it from my experience. Sitting at home is not gonna help.
Mhm.
I'll tell you right now, right off bat, that shit ain't gonna work.
But no, I feel like we're better equipped. Like
Mhm.
like I've faced like a mini heartbreak since, you know.
Mhm. I faced a
And-
couple, man. It's not fun.
And I say mini because I think it was supposed to be on the same level as the first, but I just had ways to work around it now. I'm like, it hurts.
But
but
let me
it
ask you
works out.
this. Let me ask you this. Sorry, I'm asking so much questions
No,
today.
go
This is
ahead.
just the question from Slim Podcast. All right.
Go ahead.
Have you ever caused heartbreak on someone else?
Yes, I have. Like I'm probably a villain in a lot of people's stories,
Really?
and it hurts me to say that.
Why do you say that though?
Because when I was one of the toxic ways that I was trying to recover was I was trying to throw myself into different
Rebound?
relationships. Yeah, I was trying to be like maybe if I fill the void with another person,
Mhm.
everything's gonna be working fine, you know.
Mhm.
But then there have been times where I like invested X amount of time in a person. And I was like, yo, this is not for me. Not thinking about what the other person is feeling.
Yo, I've done that too, man.
And looking back,
Is that selfish?
it's super selfish.
Well, what are you gonna do? You're gonna get into a relationship with somebody you know you don't want?
No, but I think the difference is my intentions going into that relationship was not good. Your intentions in a relationship, in my opinion at least, should always be to build from scratch with good intentions and try to
Okay.
understand how each other work, right?
Mm.
My intention was I'm trying to recover and you're gonna be that. You're gonna be the medicine. And her intentions were the great intentions that I just spoke about earlier. Like he's just trying to work from scratch, and I think when things ended, it didn't hurt me as much, but I know it was terrible on her, right? So I really and I hate because I heard that recently. Like, do you think you're a villain in someone else's story?
Mhm.
I do think, and if I had the opportunity, if that person unblocks me, I would
Blocked.
I would let them know. I would let them
Blocked.
know that yo, like I'm in a better place now,
Mhm.
and I'm sorry that I did what I did to you.
Mhm.
You may never forgive me,
Mhm.
but I understand the magnitude of my actions. I hope you the best. Good luck with life.
We'll put that clip out. They'll hear it.
Interesting.
Yeah,
You know what I
hopefully.
took away from just what you just said right now?
Yeah.
This is just a theory I just came up with, but correct me if I'm wrong. But getting into a relationship, right? Especially when you're getting into committing with somebody, right? There has to be a form of delusion there already,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that on top of coupled with the fact that you have an idea of what heartbreak is and want to avoid it at all costs,
Yeah.
do you think that can be misleading to some people, especially like women that you're trying to court?
What do you mean?
Like, for example, you know what you want out of a relationship more so than you did when you first got into your
Totally.
first relationship,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
So now that you're trying to seek out another person to fill the void, quote unquote, right? And knowing that there's some form of delusion that goes into getting with somebody, does that kind of hurt your chances of survival in that relationship as an item?
Yeah, I would
Is
think
that
so.
just reality though?
Yeah, I just think that's the way the cookie crumbles, bro.
Wow,
I just think like that's
I'm
just
learning a lot
the
today,
way
yo.
it's meant to be. You know what I mean?
This nigga informational as fuck, man.
Fam, I've had one large heartbreak and a lot of mini ones.
You know, I learn a lot from you when it comes to like dealing in ordeals in relationships
Yeah.
because, well, like we said before, niggas don't talk about this shit.
Uh-huh.
You know, the fact that we have these conversations means that it gives me the mindset of there's other people like me out there.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so like I think these are helpful. I'm not
But
gonna lie.
another reason why I think it hits us harder is because you and I don't go into relationships thinking that this is just gonna be for fun. You know? I think our goal is always to find somebody to
A match.
build something with,
Yeah.
right? Like, and when you go that route, it hurts more because you invest so much emotion and time, and then you figure out that like that was all to waste, you know?
Like
But I started to change my mind frame where it was like these experiences are not a waste. These experiences are learning curves, and they are different directions that you have to go to figure out how to find the person who you want to end up with. You know, every broken heart increases the next increases the chances of finding the right person the next one. You know,
Facts.
that's how I
Facts.
think at least.
Facts.
That's a bar.
Thank you, brother.
You know, realistically speaking, right? The overall sentiment of this conversation is heartbreak is necessary.
It is.
It's not just something we can't avoid, but you have to go through it to be able to develop a sense of what a relationship should be for you specifically, right?
You need to understand, my opinion at least, I know we're gonna wrap up soon. You need to understand what you have to lose in order to cherish what you have. You know, I
Facts.
think that puts into perspective the type of thing that you need to protect, and understanding that you may not find this in someone else. It puts into like in realization that I need to cherish what I have with this person and not take them for granted. And through that loss, you understand that this is the type of person I want. No, it's not the type of person I want. This is the type of person I want to invest in, you know? And that's it really puts into your mind frame that you need to go through things in order to experience the best of things. That's why I think, let's take it off heartbreak for a second. When LeBron James
always goes back to LeBron with you.
yeah.
Always goes back to LeBron with this guy.
Like when LeBron lost to Dirk and won the next year, I think that next year championship was so much more because he had to go through so much to get to that, right?
He's boo-hooing on stage. Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
He's crying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally.
I mean, 2016 though.
Oh, I think that one meant more than all of them.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
and that's because he had 8 years or so failure in Cleveland, comes to here, and not only that, but does it in the greatest of fashion. He comes back from a 3-1 deficit, right? And that just puts it. Not only was it like something for his legacy, but it told him that sometimes you have to take the L's to experience the greatest of W's. You know? But yeah.
It's not really a good analogy though because he already won before that.
No, but I honestly, and I think he said it before. I don't know what clip, but the Cleveland one meant more than all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't think the Lakers one meant that much still.
The Mickey Mouse, the Mickey Mouse, the Mickey Mouse. Come on, man.
But anyway,
Welcome to Heartbreak.
Yes,
My head keeps spinning.
Should learn how to grieve, and everybody
Can't
should
stop having these
learn
visions.
I
themselves.
gotta have vision.
Ooh, 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 ooh.
Ooh.
Look at Beyonce, right? Taking a spotlight from me. Listen, guys. All I gotta say is, see this guy right here? Start calling him Dr. Phil.
Dr. Jama.
Because he fills you in. You know? Why are you looking at me like that?
You know what I want
Yeah,
to say about
I didn't even go that route, fam. I'm
Oh,
not,
you're
I'm
the
trying-
you're the waste youth,
I'm not
man.
trying to
You're
go
the
that
waste youth.
there's a lot of analogies. He has been filling holes and a lot of
Whoa,
times.
let's not get specific. Let's not get- this is a
There was-
family-friendly
Exactly.
podcast.
We're cutting this part out. But there's a lot of times I could have said pause in this whole conversation, but I kept that to myself, and
True.
I respected the liberty of the conversation.
Guys, not gonna lie, before we even finish, yo, that was one of the greatest conversations I've ever had.
Really?
Yeah, real talk. I'm so much more enlightened than I was before coming in here about Heartbreak.
Okay.
And I just wanted to just tell you guys that on camera. Real
I
talk.
very appreciate. I just think going from the lows and experiencing that, it's like something that you have to go through. Like, it's weird to say, but I feel like I'm an expert in this.
Damn.
It's weird to say.
That is wild. Damn.
No, and by no means expert as in like I just through this type of situations I was able to understand myself better.
Mhm.
You know,
You've had a deeper level of thinking about this than most people,
I
I'd
had
say.
like a lot of time, bro.
Mhm,
A lot
mhm,
of time. But
mhm.
alhamdulillah.
In all essence of this conversation, bro, like, can I just say thank you for enlightening me on a lot of the stuff that we talked about? And you as well, Mukhtar, for chiming in. Great conversation, man. I love coming on this podcast, wallahi. I'm not going to lie. Like, these are the times where I look forward to the most, you know? And that's, because we the Coffee Break Podcast, right?
Break Podcast.
Come on, man. Like, I can't wait to take these types of scenarios and conversations outside to more people
Yeah.
and get more of a opinion, yeah, and a response. Like, I like to engage in these types of conversations with people. So if you're hearing this now, we want all of your opinions in the comment section below. We want you guys to talk to me, give us some opinions, or give us some like things you learned about this conversation, because we talked about a lot, right?
Mhm.
And we're gonna be on the streets real soon, so we're gonna come to you guys and kind of give you guys a more IRL version of this. But we're the Coffee Break Podcast, man. My name is Slim. This is my brother.
Jama.
This is my other brother.
Mukhtar.
We're out, guys. See you next time.